still okay. Thank you all for coming. I'll just wait for another minute to get everyone seated for those who are still keen, and then we'll start. Just before I begin, like, is anyone here new to Web3, or who's new to Web3? Everyone's new to Web3. Is that what brought you here today to kind of learn more about Web3, or is it because like, I'm keen to understand like what brought you here today? Learn more. In what way are you interested? Ordinary people make money. Yeah, yeah. That's what kept me fascinated as well. So hopefully I can impart some knowledge that I've gathered over the past 4 or 5 years in the space. For those who are new, yeah, I have some. I've been in space for the past 4 or 5 years, so hopefully I can share something. No man, no man. I'm a coder. I'm a developer. So I'm a developer. Yeah. Oh good. I created the slides just for that kind of question, which I'll cover in the next slide. So for those who are still wait for. Oh, hi. Yeah. Actually, today there's a friend of mine called Kevin who is supposed to be speaking, but he's in Istanbul or he's somewhere else doing business as well. So I'm in here in his place just to help out Polygon. So for those who are new, Polygon is actually oh, hi Victor. Polygon is actually a blockchain company, a very big one. Not sure whether they have a booth here, but later I'll explain more. So Advocate is just like an ambassador, so I just like help out Polygon to do things like this. So everyone's seated, so I'll just get started. So I'll treat this session not really a one-way session. I want to make it more like a workshop, so more interactive. Because it's an hour long, I don't think I want to speak for 1 hour. I want it to be both ways. So as I speak, feel free to stop me anytime and just ask me any questions, and I'll just answer to the best of my ability. So without further ado, let's get Web3 ready. My name's Elton. Nice to meet you guys. Polygon Advocate, and I also run my own startup called Chatmin, which is a social fi product. Just launched beta this week, but I'm refining it, and at the same time do stuff like this. So today's agenda, we're going to cover a few things. To keep it very broadly, I'm going to cover like the overview of Web3 ecosystem, which is pretty good, I guess, for people who are new in the space to see at a very high level what you're in it for, the kind of use cases that you can expect, you know, and if you are really interested to get your hands dirty, what kind of resources can you go to actually get started with Web3, and and dive into the development of such applications. So, what is Web3? My dear friend was asking, what is Web3? So back in 1990s, it's Web 1 where maybe I was still an infant then. At the time, the website was just static and it's all read only. And then come 2000s, Facebook came about, and they onboarded like billions of people, and that's called like Web 2, right? It become not just read but write as well. And that's very fascinating, right? Now people are able to create content, not just reading. Previously, maybe only owned by a few companies who manage those few websites, but now see so many thousands and millions of websites nowadays. So what is actually Web3? So we're actually reaching an era where people are not just reading and writing, but they are looking for ownership. You see all those data leakages, privacy and all the data being compromised. People want ownership of data. So in Web3, in essence, is a read, write, and own. People want to own the data. That's why blockchain came about. You have your own wallet, you can own your own NFT, your own tokens. It's a peer-to-peer transaction. There's no need for intermediaries. And then this is very interchangeable with the word block, but this is in essence what Web3 is all about. So, in overview, I put together this slide with the help of my friend ChatGPT. What exactly is the overview of this Web3? At a very ground level, Web3 is the blockchain technology. And blockchain technology originated from this, there's no pointer, right? There's no pointer. This thing called Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, the founder was this guy called Satoshi Nakamoto. And then he was like this mysterious pseudonym. This guy created a white paper that depicted how you can actually solve a peer-to-peer transaction properly. And then Bitcoin was formed just for that purpose. Thereafter, all the other cryptocurrencies that you see out there, like Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum, whatever, are called alternative coins, or in short, altcoins, ALT. But all these cryptocurrencies under the hood is run by this technology called blockchain technology. And what it does, and how I like to explain it is an immutable ledger in the sky that everybody can look at this ledger and know that it is true. So you don't really, it's called a trustless system, where you just need to trust this blockchain. And it can work in very interesting use cases that has been used for the past 20, 30 years. You think about supply chain, right? You think about supply chain, how does it get from the corn, from the farmer, all the way to what we eat now? This whole process, you maybe have like many different parties, many different companies involved in the process, from farming to processing to manufacturing to, I don't know, like transportation, and eventually to your plate. And they all have their own different ledgers. But how do you actually trust that their ledgers are true and there's disputes? So blockchain technology came about to actually solve problems like this, not just in peer-to-peer transactions, that they just need to look at this one ledger and that they know that it's true, you can trust it, you don't need to trust anything else. So the technology is very powerful. And over the past few years, this technology kind of like accelerated into many interesting use cases that I will hope to share later on. So that's blockchain technology. Bitcoin was just this coin thingy. And then Ethereum came about with this concept called smart contracts. Does anyone here know what smart contracts is about? Who don't know what is a smart contract? Okay, for those who are, so a smart contract, I don't know who came up with the name smart contract, but it basically replaces the need for an intermediary. So you can think of it as a bunch of codes, right? That upon a certain a condition, it just triggers. So let's say I want to pay you money after like tomorrow. I just put this condition and whoop, okay, my money will just transfer to you. So smart contract is basically a bunch of codes that are just like that. So point is just to, same concept, you see, it always goes back to the root concept of actually removing the need of an intermediary and solving this peer-to-peer kind of issue. So smart contracts is just a bunch of codes. You can go and code it as complex as you want, as simple as you want. And one of the very interesting, or one of the very common smart contracts that you see now is cryptocurrency. So actually cryptocurrency is not coins that you can like take out from the bank and put into your pocket. It's actually a bunch of codes or lines, If you look at it and think about it that way, like, so my money is just like in this thing called a smart contract and it's just a ledger, but it is what it is. And I think it's very common to what we see in banks also, right? All these digital ledgers, they're just ledgers. They're not really money, right? It's just ledgers. So similarly, how I like to put it in reference to banks is this digital ledger that can be coded. It's like codable money, a money that can be coding and put like logic into play. So it's very interesting, and that falls in many different altcoins, all the different cryptocurrencies. If you go online and see, most of them would have smart contracts, except for Bitcoin. Until recently, I think like last year, they come up with this network. So this space evolves very quickly. So for those who are new, don't worry, you can take our time to dive into this rabbit hole. So Bitcoin originally don't have smart contracts. They're just this logic. But recently, a bunch of very smart developers came and built this thing called the Lightning Network that allows all the use cases that can be built on other cryptocurrencies to now be built on Bitcoin. And stuff is like NFT, NFT people usually think is JPEGs, but it's just one way to get started, get people understand what this technology is all about. It's like an asset, you know. And then now, if you go around this FinTech festival, as I did for the past 2 days, you see things like asset tokenization, right? And all this falls under this concept of smart contracts, where you're linking real world to smart contracts and tying it here and there. You see like bond tokenization. You see you can tokenize a chair. You can tokenize this booth, as long as like you can treat it like a linkage, and then you can be creative about it. So that's smart contracts, and then we'll move on to the next one. It's called DApps and DAOs. So DApp stands for decentralized applications. They like to put D in front of everything, just like how like TradeFi put a phi at the back. So D is in the spirit of decentralization, in the spirit of blockchain technology, in the spirit of Web3. They put D, decentralized applications. And as the name suggests, decentralized is to prevent a centralized point of failure, right? Just like that's why Web3 also came about. We don't want to have one data storage failing and that goes all your data, right? Maybe that's why you need to have multiple storages as a backup. So decentralized applications are applications that uses blockchain technology, and then they're just called DApps. As long as you use blockchain technology, it's more often than not considered a DApp. A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. Okay, who don't know what's a DAO? Okay, very good session. Hopefully you all learn a little bit. So a decentralized autonomous organization. How do I put it? But basically, let's say I'm in a company and I have 3 stakeholders in a very traditional sense. So maybe 3 shareholders and me, so 4 people, and then this is like an organization. But what if I want to think bigger? What if I want to think in a very huge scalable mindset, that I want to work with people from Nigeria, like Africa, or like Europe, US, they're all over the place. So decentralized autonomous organizations come into play very nicely, where we are able to work in a very remote setting with people all around the world, yet have a little bit of centralization. And we do this through something called tokens. So in a traditional company, you have shares, right? You have issue 100 shares, but in the crypto world, more often than not, you see tokens. All these are considered tokens: cryptocurrency, ERC20. All these words are used interchangeably, but all these tokens can be issued like shares to people. I issue like 100 tokens to you, 100 tokens to you, You're all essentially shareholders. And if a person were to create a concept like a DAO, they can leverage on this token holders as a concept of you guys are being a shareholder, and you guys can play a part in dictating the direction of the company. Maybe you put a proposal that, hey, I have 10 features. I want you to decide which feature should I prioritize. Okay, you guys decide. Maybe I don't make the best decision. So collaboratively, 10,000 people all across the world, put their votes depending on how much they've invested in the company, and then they dictate the direction of how the organization moves. So we are also in this era with blockchain technology that you are able to create very interesting use cases like DAOs, which is still relatively new, yet exciting, because we're exploring these little areas that have not been explored yet. So if a company sees a need for such a thing, they could actually turn to blockchain technology to give it a go. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is interoperability. As the name suggests, interoperability is basically it's like a vision where everyone will work together eventually. So we start off with Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin was the only one. You can think of it as a monopoly. And then it came with Ethereum, and it came with Polygon, and like hundreds and thousands of cryptocurrency. But then you want it to work in a way where we all can work together. Let's say if I'm an Ethereum user, I build everything on Ethereum, but then I have a friend who is very big on Polygon. How do we work together? So interoperability basically allows you to bridge between chains. All these are called chains. So that came about like chains, multi-bridge chains, from Ethereum to Polygon to Bitcoin, da 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 da. This allows everyone to scale in a way that, with the vision that we all work together, and there's no need to compete, stealing one customers from Ethereum and pulling over to this other blockchain. We can all work together with the vision that all work together. So, to go a little bit deeper, I can give a little bit more clearer context of how do you picture it together. So Bitcoin, you can picture it as like a pyramid, layer 0. Then, okay, this is a bit complex. Okay, layer 1. Bitcoin is like layer 1. Ethereum is called layer 1. All these big boys are usually called layer 1s. I think there are companies called Elf, also layer 1. Polygon, because because of the constraints imposed on these big blockchains like Ethereum, because there's like maybe millions of people around the world are using Ethereum, so there comes the processing speed of the transaction to get completed takes way longer, and it affects the user experience. And to circumvent that kind of situation, that's why there's all these different altcoins and all these different blockchains came about to actually try to solve this issue on scalability. So those are called layer 2. So Bitcoin and Ethereum are at layer 1, and those solutions that aims to scale the particular blockchain are called layer 2 on top of that layer 1. So Polygon is built on top of Ethereum. Okay, it's a bit complex, but if you guys have any questions, right, just ask. So layer 2. So Polygon is called layer 2, and we have very interesting use cases like Arbitrum, optimism, with all their different visions and values and like how they bring into the company and how they think this blockchain can actually benefit people. They're called layer 2s, and now instead of waiting 1 minute for your transaction to complete, the transaction now completes in less than a second, and it's way cheaper, stuff like that. So many gaming companies who uses blockchain technology, not sure whether here has, tend to build on layer 2 solutions because it is cheaper and it's faster. So there's always drawbacks, right? But these are the few touch points I want to bring about. So interoperability, they are calling it the layer 0, where they actually bridge all these different blockchains together. Okay, I've talked a lot on this slide. So what is Polygon? Since I'm not an actual employee of Polygon, I'll just explain to the best of my extent, although I've been a developer and coding on Polygon for the past 2-ish years. POS, does anyone here know what POS stands for? Yes, I see a head nodding, yes. So for those who are unfamiliar, POS is proof of stake. Initially, Polygon started as a proof of work similar to Ethereum because, like I said, Polygon is built on top of Ethereum to scale Ethereum. So proof of work is very unsustainable because all the miners, affecting global warming. Bitcoin, I think statistics shown that the energy used, like produced from all these miners mining Bitcoin, is equivalent to some country electricity for the whole year, which is very harmful for the environment with all those ESG going on about. POS came as a solution, it's a consensus algorithm, basically this logic that is more sustainable than what initially been used. And how I like to tell people who are new to POS is, let's say you buy 4D or Toto, right? You buy one ticket, it costs $1. Then you only have 1 out of 10 million chance of actually winning a Toto. But let's say you buy 10 tickets or 100 tickets, you spend $100, you have more chances of actually winning it. Similarly, POS detects just that. The more money you stake, the higher your chance for you to actually win the chance to mine the transaction and get the reward. But there's of course, like, to prevent those centralized bullies, of having too much money, there are algorithms in play that basically prevent such things from happening. So it's just like lottery system. So because you are randomly choosing the miners instead of having that miner with the best CPU, strongest computer to win that transaction, you just need to see the lottery and then, oh, okay, since I don't need to have such a strong computer, it's less harmful for the environment. You don't need to produce so much energy, yada yada yada. So I'm not going to touch too much on all this, but this is their journey. Matic. They started in 2017, so that's what, 6 years back. Then yada yada yada. You have this kind of thing like tokenization. They're exploring your tokenizations because lots of business, lots of corporates, lots of companies are now looking into, even banks, right? They're looking into how do you actually utilize blockchain technology to tokenize it, which I'll talk more later if you guys are interested. And then now we see use cases like Starbucks, Nike, Reddit. I think even Grab, if you use Grab app, they're trying to play around with this blockchain technology, and they've partnered with Polygon as well in producing this adoption where you sign in, you get a wallet, and you can do these things with your wallet. And the beautiful thing about it is that the wallet belongs to you, right? So that's what Web3 is all about, where you own a wallet, the wallet is yours, and whatever's in the wallet is obviously yours. You don't need to depend on the bank or whatever centralized body to actually hold those assets. You can hold your own assets. Yada yada yada. We are reaching, for Polygon is reaching this thing called 2.0 where they call it a value layer. So POS, like I said, yeah, see it takes like, yeah, it's a dApps network for Ethereum, and people usually go to Polygon because it's a layer 2 for like games where they require high transaction output. Because if you need a lot of transaction, you want to reduce that cost, right? So you want to work with a blockchain that can offer the lowest cost possible. Polygon is one example. So you have lots of transactions, lots of smart contracts, you have market cap, and then, yeah. Then here, so just to give some context, Polygon is amongst the many layer 2s, but they are one of the big ones out there. So if you actually want to get started, Polygon is a good go-to. Purely for the fact, for development, I'm a developer, and for those who are aspiring developers in the space, Polygon, there's this network, or this testnet. So there's mainnet and testnet. And testnet, you can easily get started to understand what blockchain is all about, and then you can play around with the blockchain. And Polygon, they have a great community, a very, very big community. I think they're very strong in marketing, that's why. And I think it's very important to have a community so that you can actually learn from people around you. And that's how I learn as well. It's very hard to do things by yourself. But yeah, there are all this marketing, you see, the unprecedented transaction speed, obviously, because it's a layer 2 solution. So, more numbers, which I don't think will interest you guys a lot. I think this is interesting. I'll try to go as slow as possible for those who are new to blockchain. So, does anyone here know what EVM stands for? Or don't know what EVM stands for? Okay, EVM is basically Ethereum Virtual Machine. I think that's why they also give this image. Ethereum Virtual Machine is basically a machine that is Ethereum compatible, that it's just like a computer, and a computer, and then it does all these transactions. And ZK is zero knowledge. So last year, I think at the start of last year or before last year, but maybe they've been like researching for a while, and they came up with this concept with blockchain technology. That's why I say that there's so many interesting use cases when it comes to blockchain. Zero knowledge technology came about, and it's very interesting because let's say you are a minor and you want to go to a club, and the club says, oh, you must be above 21, they can come in. But then you are a very stubborn US citizen that doesn't want to show your identification. But you just believe that I'm above 21, and then you guys are like quarreling. Zero knowledge basically allows you to prove to the person that you're above 21 without actually showing your ID and just showing the proof. Hence the name zero knowledge. You don't need to know that. It's just like if I have a lock and it's a bunch of combination that only I know. I say I know the combination to the lock, and then I don't believe. You say I don't believe. I say I know. I turn behind, I solve it, and I show it to you. So the lock is obviously unlocked, which obviously you know that I know the code because I managed to unlock the lock. But then the person doesn't need to know the combination of the lock for him to understand that I can solve it. Similarly, zero knowledge is what it is. You don't need to share the knowledge, but you can do things like this. And it's very interesting for not me, but maybe some rich people who are super wealthy but want to stay low key, right? Say that I have like $100 million and I want to prove, I want to buy something, but the person looks down on you, show me that you have the money before I approve you, right? Zero knowledge also can help with that. So it's very interesting. And we are diving into this concept called ZK EVM, zero knowledge Ethereum virtual machine. And many blockchains are trying to adopt and push for this adoption, zero knowledge. So, yada yada, more. So they acquired, they spent $1 billion, $250,000 each in 4 different ZK, because I think they have a strong vision for ZK. And some of the products that if you were to go to Polygon and you want to play around with such technologies, includes Maiden, Hermes, I think there's Maiden and Hermes. I think there's 2 more, I think they didn't put in here. But you can go to the website and check it out. Then, so yeah, ZK EVM, they are very promoting it, like a mainnet, they launched it in, March 2023, this year. So this is how early this technology is, but when you think about the potential use cases, if you're creative enough, right, you can try to solve very interesting problems that you face in real life. So I mentioned it already, so lots of adoption, people are playing around with it, and now they're very focused on ZK because they think it's the end game for blockchain scaling. So that brings Polygon to Polygon 2.0, where they started from POW to POS and then introduced ZK, and then 2.0 is about interoperability, which I mentioned in the very first slide, right? Where they want to bring everything together, all their products they've built over the past 6 years to something called a Polygon 2.0. Lots of information. Don't know whether I should dive into it, but I'll just touch on a little bit for those who are new to blockchain technology. Because blockchain, there's something called the public and the private. So there's public blockchain where everybody's familiar with, but not many people are familiar with private blockchains. And people who use private blockchains are usually big corporations like banks who want to utilize blockchain technology, yet they don't want to reveal too much information to the public. Because blockchain is actually a ledger, right, that everybody can see. And that people just assume you can see information for every single blockchain, but that's not the case. That's only for public servers, like Ethereum, like Bitcoin, Polygon. So Polygon came out with another product that tries to cater to those companies that prefers a private solution, and that's why SuperNet came about. So you'll see very interesting products from different blockchains trying to solve corporate B2B challenges, and these are some things. So Polygon 2.0 interoperability, bring everything together into this thing called Polygon 2.0. So people don't need to get confused to look at every single place, you just need to look at one place and just build it on it. I think they're still working towards that, but I don't think it'll take that long, because in the space everything moves really, really quickly. Even I am struggling to catch up for everything. At the same time, try to teach everyone. So I enjoy sharing knowledge about this to other people. So if you guys, after this session, if you guys want to learn more, feel free to just connect with me and just ask me any questions. So that brings me to this. So that was the overview. That's a very lengthy overview. You guys are still here, so good job, good job. Hopefully this is interesting. Is it boring? Is it boring? You're too kind. Okay, we'll go to the next stage, which is use cases. So I think I mentioned earlier, use cases is like Grab. Fun fact, I haven't even tried it, but everybody can try it. You should if you are new to blockchain. That's a very easy, because most of us have Grab, right? We book our taxis, so it's very easy to play around because you already have the account. Just see how do you get started. But basically, yeah, it's trying to onboard people, understand a bit more about blockchain, the use cases, and maybe so to tell you how this works, or why do they come up with this, is maybe there's like people like me who have a lot of crypto. I don't have a lot of crypto, but maybe there's some other people that have a lot of crypto they want to use, but they don't want to convert into fiat money like SG dollars or US dollars. They want to keep it as it is, yet use services in real life. How can I use crypto to pay for my taxi? Hence, Grab came about. We work with partners like Polygon to try to help those problems faced by people in this industry who is like a maxis that only believe in Web3, but they are very stubborn, stuff like that. Frank Templin, they dive into asset tokenization, and that's why you see many banks, DBS. I think there's local banks is also going heavy on like blockchain, where they tokenize bonds and tokenize here and there. So give you understanding of rather my understanding of why do you tokenize bonds. Bonds typically range from like really expensive, right? At least 200,000, 500,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which most people cannot afford to buy. So how do you promote a product and at the same time get it sold, right? Is to fractionalize this bond into many different pieces. Maybe a $100,000 bond can be fractionalized into 1,000 pieces worth $1,000. So maybe I have $2,000. I'll just invest in this. I'll just own like 2%, but you still manage to invest. So this helps the banks, helps whichever people who want to tokenize bonds to open up to the bigger pool of people who may be interested but just do not have enough money to invest. So tokenization is interchangeable with the word fractionalization. The only difference is that tokenization is with blockchain. So anything not to do with blockchain, you just call it fractionalization. Right? When things to do with blockchain, you just call tokenization. And then you see Reddit. For those who are users of Reddit, they have been quietly onboarding millions of users in the Web3 from as simple as a profile pic. Profile pic is like NFTs and then da. Nike as well. You have Swoosh offering Polygon-based NFT products, promoting NFT. I think NFTs is always the go-to when they want to get people to understand the product. You can look at it in various angles. Lens protocol is very interesting, even though I'm not on it because that's why I don't like the gated system, but Lens protocol is very interesting in a way they're trying to decentralize social identity, where so Lens protocol is built on top of Polygon. So you have Ethereum, you have Polygon, and you have Lens. So there's many different layers that slowly, when you go into the space, you will get to understand. And Lens protocol basically allows you to have a profile that is decentralized, and you can connect whatever socials as possible, like and then you can do things like you do on a normal social network, like TikTok, where you share posts, create posts. And the beautiful thing about this is that it's meant for content creators. Why? They can make money, obviously. They make money from doing the things that they used to do on like places like Instagram, TikTok, but maybe you earn way more here, hence the adoption. So, enough talk. I'm sure you guys are interested to get started on Web3. How I get started, if you guys are interested, is obviously to get your hands dirty, right? So Open Zeppelin is something you guys can keep note of. It's like a gold standard to go to in terms of like understanding what a smart contract is all about. So just now earlier I mentioned what a smart contract is all about. If you want to learn more, see in nitty-gritty details what all this means, pragma, solidity, import statements, contract, yada yada, you go to Open Zeppelin. Now we have reached the time where there's no need to really reinvent the wheel, because there are many templates out there. There's many people who have minted ERC20. ERC20 is basically cryptocurrencies. So unless you have very interesting use cases to tackle, that is where you tweak those smart contracts. So it's very blur, you can't see, because I can't see, so you guys can't see. But you go to Open Zeppelin, something called a wizard, and they can help you create a smart contract. That's just like ChatGPT help you to create templates, and it's very easy to get started, and you can try to deploy it, and I've deployed a smart contract. You can do it everything less than like 10 minutes if you really know everything. So OpenZeppelin, I would recommend, go to OpenZeppelin, go to Wizard, create some ERC20 smart contract, right? Then go to this place called Remix. Remix, you don't even need to download anything. Just go to the browser, type Remix IDE, and as the name suggests, it's a browser-based IDE where you can upload the smart contract that you have previously created on OpenZeppelin and try to deploy it using this IDE. So for developers here, I'm not sure how many developers there are, but IDE just stands for the Integrated Development Environment, where you use a place like Visual Studio Code to code things. For this, you just don't need to download, right? You can just use it to deploy smart contracts, make those emits, lots of stuff. But if you guys want to learn more, if any questions, feel free to ask me after this workshop. I'm happy to go through. I've been writing smart contracts for the past few years, and so I'm used to it on Ethereum. If you really want to get your hands dirty and you want a very nice formulated like education certificate session, Crypto Zombies is a very popular choice to go to learn more how to build a DApp, a decentralized application, at the same time learn about smart contracts. So if you want a more structured way of learning, Crypto Zombies is a good way to go to, and then you can also show off your certificates thereafter, like, hey, I went through, it's not like I do not know anything, I do know, at least I tried once. Crypto Zombies is the way to go to. If you want a more unregulated, unstructured way of exploration, Remix, OpenZeppelin, tools like this are tools that you will just play around with. That's what I do. Or you can leverage on whatever blockchain that you're interested to build on. Go to their website, like Polygon. They also have lots of healthy of resources because they have billions of dollars, like millions of dollars to build whatever you guys can see. And yeah, like learn more. I think that's very important. Life is all about learning. And then we have Wiki, there's more promotions from Polygon, lots of YouTube videos. Third Web is also very interesting, I did put it there. Third Web is also very interesting. So you guys can take note of this thing called the Third Web, THIRDWEB, Third Web, where they have lots of pre-built smart contracts that you can just click and deploy in a very user-friendly interface. So it's for people who don't like coding, but yet still want to get your hand dirty. Third Web is a nice platform. I also play with it, hence I know. I don't think I've included screenshots for that, but yeah. Okay, then link here is like for developers who, or people who really want to know a typical tech stack on how do you build a decentralized application. So decentralized application, you would, there's many things. You can build a website, you can build a mobile app. For website, a typical framework I like to go, and most people like to go, is Next.js and React. And basically, I think it's more like Web2, where you, as a developer, would like to play around with it. So most of the Web3 tech stack is catered to a popular Web2 framework in building a website. I didn't write anything to do with mobile, though I am building a mobile app. So I use like Flutter, and then there's like lots of packages that you can use with relation to Web3. Very popular wallets, why? Wallet Connect, Coinbase, Phantom, Rainbow are kits that you can use to onboard users into your application. But in spirit of, I think if you want to, instead of using this is an alternative. Biconomy, Safe, Alchemy, those are very popular big boys out there that tries to make user onboarding for a typical person who is not in the space to be in the space, just like how Grab did it. You don't need to learn anything about seed phrases. So they use this concept called account abstraction, where you just use Google login or Facebook login or LinkedIn login, and then you have a wallet generated. In the past, it's not like this. In the past, you have to remember a 12 or 16-word phrases that you have to write on a piece of paper and write multiple pieces of paper and you store everywhere in your house. And because if you lose it, there goes all your money, there goes your wallet, right? But now, they come about this concept called account abstraction, where you can rest assured to a certain extent that you can rely on these social logins to retrieve your password, for example, like a password. One more to promote if you use, which I'm using for my product Chatmin, is Web3 of Web3 AUTH. So Web3 of is also utilizes the same concept as Biconomy that make it very easy for people to onboard. Then, like I said earlier, we have, I didn't write remakes here, but Hardhat, Foundry, Truffle are how you can, are tools that you try to like perfect your smart contract where you audit it, you perform tests, you create this smart contract and you want to make sure that it covers whatever edge scenarios that you never think of. You can use stuff like this where you can battle test your smart contracts to make sure that it's safe before you launch it to the public. Because one factor about blockchain that it's like a double-edged sword, right, is that it is immutable, right? You cannot change once you put it on the blockchain. So you want to be sure that whatever you do is that you have done like thousands of checks before you actually do it. So it is very important if you are big on security. Then we have other stuff, identity, we have social, like I mentioned. XMTP is a protocol that I'm also using that only released like this year. So XMTP is an open source messaging protocol that allows you to own your conversations. Very interesting, because you think about it, WhatsApp, if WhatsApp goes down, oh fuck, Telegram. Because what if WhatsApp actually goes down? Nothing's too big to fail. If WhatsApp goes down, there goes all your messages, all your histories. But with technologies like XMTP, you are able to persist your conversations. At the same time, it belongs to you. It does not belong to the company. It does not belong to WhatsApp. It does not belong to Telegram. It belongs to you. So whenever you just use an application that uses XMTP, it kind of restores these conversations that you have with people. It's very interesting. Why? Because I was just thinking about it, and it can tackle very interesting use cases in terms of maybe I don't hear anybody have any bad experiences with companies that they work with, and then maybe you have all the messages in Slack, and then you got kicked out of the company, and like, oh shit, where's all my messages, right? So this technology may be good for consumers, but not good for businesses, because businesses cannot delete your data, right? It belongs to you. So maybe it has to look into like GDPR compliance, but we're diving into very interesting use cases with technologies like this, where we are playing around with the concept of Web3 and ownership of data, where you're owning things now. Instead of companies owning it, you're owning it. So you don't have like, save thousands of screenshots because somebody say this, you say this, your word, his word, and then now you just need to rely on technology and be assured that it stays with you, as long as you don't lose the password and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of things. You can take a photo, you can ask me questions after, but these are the kind of frameworks that you play around with thereafter. So this brings me to the last part of my presentation. I don't know how long I've spoken. My first time actually speaking for so long, so after this I'll drink some water. But I'll finish up real quickly. What's next? Development of Web3. Obviously, how do you actually stay in the space? How do you actually keep up the time? How do you like know what's happening, what's next, right? Obviously, you go into communities. In Singapore, there's lots of communities, but you can also go to like the blockchain guilds, all these different blockchain advocates. So I'm an advocate for Polygon, so I think soon I will also host events for Polygon, and then we bring people, like-minded people who are interested to learn more. That's how we can learn together. Victoria is part of this white paper reading club. We have very interesting like communities here and there that we all like. Despite our size, we all have a keen interest and hunger to learn more, and then we just find like-minded and we huddle together. Even I have a small community. If you guys want to join, you can join, just scan. And in my community, I have a board that I work with a friend that churns out a weekly list of side events that happens during the week. You can choose which one you want to go to, and then you can go and meet new people, understand more, and stay in a space, right? You can also rely on those developer forums, meetups, hackathons, events like this, online platforms like GitHub, that's where the codes are, Medium, articles, Twitter. Even though I don't use Twitter so much, I have a friend here, Jonathan, that uses Twitter a lot. So this guy there in blue is also a thought leader in the space. Should look out to him. He writes for this Bankless DAO, which is a very popular company in Web3. Yeah, these are some communities can rely on, and this is what I like to do in my free time. And that brings me to the end of my very impromptu presentation and how to get Web3 ready. So hope you guys enjoyed. If anything, questions, feel free to ask. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming.